I used to show up to ceremonies with a speaker, a mixer, 2 mic systems, and a Jackery battery station just to get audio working. Now, I just walk in with a backpack. That's it. What's up, everyone? And if we haven't met before, I'm Jared. I'm a former D1 athlete turned wedding DJ, and for the past 10 years or so, I've specialized in spinning at weddings and events across the US. This channel is a place where you can find DJ product reviews, mixes from real events, and insights to help the modern wedding DJ. If you're tired of hauling gear to ceremony sites, or you're looking for a better ceremony audio solution, hit that subscribe button. Let's break down my perfect ceremony rig and why it works. So let me paint the picture for what I used to deal with. I'd show up to ceremony, especially outdoor ceremonies, and I'd need a speaker, a mixer to handle my wireless mics, 2 separate mic systems because I need that flexibility for different scenarios, and a Jackery battery station just to power everything. That's 4 or 5 cases that I'm hauling out to some gazebo out in the middle of nowhere. And then there's the setup time. Ceremonies in 20 minutes, you're running cables, syncing frequencies, hoping the battery station has enough juice, and praying that nothing drops out while the bride walks down the aisle. It worked, but it wasn't elegant, and it for sure was not fast. This setup changed all of that. Let me show you what's in the bag. This is the Electro-Voice Everse 8. This thing is a game changer for ceremonies. It's battery powered, so I can take it anywhere. Beach weddings, garden weddings, middle of the field, doesn't matter. No power cable needed. But here's where it gets really smart. The Everse 8 has a DC power output on the back, and it's got a USB-C power out as well. That means that I can power my wireless mic systems directly from the speaker. No separate battery pack, no extra cables, just one self-contained system. Now, QSC just released their CB10, a 10-inch battery-powered speaker aimed at exactly this type of situation. And honestly, it's a solid option. But it's got one fatal flaw for my workflow: no power output for external devices. The Everse 8 has that DC power out and a USB-C power out on the back, which means I can power my wireless mic system directly from the speaker. With the CB10, I still need a separate battery solution for my mics. That's a deal breaker for me. I want one power source, not 2. Now moving on, I also grabbed the Everse 8 tray, which mounts to the top of the speaker. This is where my wireless system sits and keeps everything compact and organized. Now, the wireless system. This is the Shure SLXD 14D Plus dual wireless body pack system. And honestly, I think this is the best ceremony mic system on the market right now. This is a half rack size unit, so it fits perfectly on that speaker tray. And it gives you 2 wireless channels in one box. That means I can run 2 lavalier mics, one for the officiant, one for the groom, or I can do a lav and a handheld if there's a reader. Whatever the ceremony needs, I've got it covered without needing 2 separate systems. But the SLXD isn't just about form factor. Shure just released this new Plus version, and it's got some serious pro level features that make ceremonies way less stressful. First, it's got wide tuning, up to 138 megahertz across all components. What that means for you is you don't have to worry about which frequency band you bought. This thing works anywhere in the country. You're not stuck with the G-band system that only works in certain markets. Second, it's got ShowLink Ease technology. This is Shure's auto RF setup. Once you sync that transmitter to the receiver, it stays paired every time you power it on. You're not manually coordinated frequencies before every ceremony, it just works. And here's my favorite part. If there's interference during the ceremony, the system automatically scans for a new frequency and deploys it to both the receiver and the transmitter without touching anything. So no more running up mid-ceremony to fix a dropout. It just handles it. It's also got digital feedback reduction built in. So if anybody gets a little too close to a speaker or there's a hot mic moment, the system automatically suppresses it. Just one less thing to worry about. And you can control the entire system from the Wireless Workbench mobile app on your phone via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Monitor your battery levels, adjust gain, lock and unlock transmitters, all from across the ceremony site. Now, along with the body packs, I also carry a Shure SLXD Plus handheld mic as an option. Now this system only has 2 inputs, so if I need a handheld, say for a reader who prefers that over a lav, I can swap it out in place for one of the body pack channels. Same plus system, same features, just gives me flexibility in how to configure the 2 channels. So here's how it all connects. Now this is actually my 3rd or 4th iteration of the system, and I finally settled on what I think is the perfect power solution. I use a Shure antenna distribution center DC power cable. This was actually made for antenna and power distribution systems, but I like it because it has the locking connector on the receiving end. So once it's plugged into the Shure system, it's locked in, it's not coming loose. Now to connect that to the speaker, I pair it with a 90-degree DC power connector adapter from Amazon. That adapter plugs into the DC output on the Everse 8. And because it's a 90-degree angle, I can keep it attached without the risk of damaging the connector when everything's packed. I just run the cable from the speaker to the receiver and use a little gaff tape on the back of the speaker to keep it clean and organized. It looks professional and everything stays exactly where it should be. And I've got 2 XLR right angle cables from Elite Core Audio that connect the Shure outputs to the speaker inputs. The right angle connectors let me store everything without unplugging, and they look way cleaner than the standard XLR sticking straight out. And because of those right angle connectors, the cables route cleanly down the back of the speakers to inputs 1 and 2. No cable sticking straight out, no stress on the connectors when everything's packed. Everything stays connected and it's protected. The speaker's got an input 1, input 2, and a stereo input 3 and 4 option. I'm using inputs 1 and 2 for my 2 Shure channels, and if I ever need another source, input 3 and 4 is available. But typically I use inputs 3 and 4 for Bluetooth from my iPad. Now I control the Everse 8 from an iPad mini using the Everse Quick Smart mobile app. I can adjust volume, EQ, everything wirelessly. And I can also play music directly from the iPad via Bluetooth and Spotify if needed. So now let's talk speaker stands. I actually use 2 different stands depending on the situation. For outdoor ceremonies where flat ground is questionable, beaches, grass, gravel, anything uneven, I use the Gator Frameworks ID series adjustable tripod stand. This thing has an extendable leveling leg, so if I'm setting up on a beach or uneven grass, I can manually extend that leg to level the stand. Way better than shimming it with rocks or hoping it just stays stable. But if I'm indoors or on flat ground, I reach for the CHAUVET DJ Flex stand with the flat base. The flat base just looks cleaner. There's no tripod leg sticking out into the aisle or ceremony space. It's just way more professional looking. The downside is that flat base is heavy and not very mobile. It's definitely not something I want to carry across a field, but for indoor ceremonies or when I'm setting up on a patio or a flat surface, it's my go-to. It looks better, it's more stable, and there are no legs in the way. If I had to choose one, I'd probably go with the Gator tripod stand just because it handles those worst case scenarios. But know that if you're mostly doing indoor ceremonies, you might want to look at a flat base option like the CHAUVET Flex instead. The Gator stand's packed down pretty compact. It doesn't actually fit inside the backpack, it's a bit too tall for that, but it's easy to carry separately alongside the bag. And speaking of the backpack, this is the Gator Case's universal speaker transporter backpack. Almost everything I showed you fits in here. The speaker, the wireless system, cables, all the accessories, it's all in the bag. The stand carries separately, but between the backpack and the collapsed stand, that's all I'm hauling. Now I'll also keep a small accessories bag inside the backpack with all the little things I need. In that bag, I've got a power cable for the speaker, a 3.5mm aux cable, a 3.5mm to USB-C adapter for hardwiring an iPad or iPhone for music, a USB-C cable for charging. I also keep the body pack transmitters and lavalier mics in here, as well as the handheld microphones. Everything's organized in one small bag, so I'm not digging around for stuff. So here's what setup looks like. I walk in with a backpack and a stand, set the speaker on top, extend the stand, and power everything on. The cables stay connected because of the right angle design. The DC power cables and both the XLRs are already plugged in. The mics auto sync, the system auto coordinates frequencies, and I'm good to go. Now let's talk about positioning. because this is where the wireless control really shines. I prefer to place the speaker near the front of the ceremony, towards the outside near the end of the wedding party line. That way it provides the best audio coverage, but it's not right in the middle of everything and out of all the pictures. And then I sit in the back with my iPad. Since I can control the speaker wirelessly through the EV app and monitor the mics through the wireless workbench, I don't need to be right next to the system. I can make adjustments from anywhere in the space. This setup keeps me out of the way, it keeps the speaker where it needs to be for optimal sound, and I still have full control. If a mic starts clipping or someone's battery's low, I can see it immediately and can adjust. Now, I have also placed the speaker in the back of the crowd when the situation calls for it. Sometimes the ceremony layout just works better that way, or there's no clean spot up front. The wireless control works either way. I've just got more flexibility with where I position things. Compare that to my old setup. Multiple cases, a mixer, separate battery station, running cables, hoping everything stays powered, hoping frequencies don't drop. This is just better. It's faster, it's cleaner, and it's way more reliable. Now let's talk investment, because I know this isn't cheap. All in, you're looking at about $3,500. Now that is not a small investment, but here's how I think about it. This setup has saved me time on every single ceremony I've done since I've built it. It's eliminated stress, it's made me look more professional, and it's given me flexibility that I didn't have before. If you're doing 20, 30, 40 weddings a year, that time and reliability adds up fast. And just so you know, none of these companies are paying me or sponsoring this video. I bought all this gear because it works. That's it. That's my perfect ceremony rig breakdown. If you've got any questions about any of the gear or how it all works together, drop them in the comments. And if you've got a ceremony system that works for you, I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for watching.